Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Nuhlikkletwang. And yes, that's right, you're seeing us for the first time. Now, if you've never seen us before, I'm Doggy, and the lady in that bright red shirt is Shads, and the lady at the top will meet a little bit later. Now, I know you missed us, and I really hope that if you had not listened to the episodes from season 1 and 2, that you've actually caught up. But while you're getting caught up on your episodes, let's catch up with Shads and find out what she did during the long break. Shads?
I New Year's Day, I had the best time of my life. I stayed at a hotel and I did my first day hike. I've been just keeping it chill, staying far away from people as I am told to do, as I like to do, because, you know, social distancing and all.
Right, right, right.
But yeah, just trying to live my best life and just patiently wait for this to be over because I am over it.
I love that. I love that. I love that. No, the lady that we have today on our screens is none other than Dr. Neek or Dr. Monique Brown. Now, Dr. Neek, tell us about yourself.
Hi guys, thank you for having me. And yes, my social media platform knows me as Dr. Neek. My current name is Dr. Monique Brown. I am a licensed and practicing medical physician in Kingston, Jamaica. I'm currently employed to the Jamaica Constabulary Force. I was previously employed to the one and only Kingston Public Hospital as an
Real
emergency
place.
room physician. Yeah. Uh, Francois, I think we've known each other since birth, right?
It's a really long time. I would say that I met you when I was 16, and I feel like you were younger than 16. So it's been a while because I haven't been 16 in like, you know
Decades.
what? Yeah, you have to do that to me?
Yes, style him.
Well, you see, because we've known each other for decades, Monique, one of the things that I want to do right now, we're starting this for season 3. I want to play a game with you. No, the game is actually called Keep Your Yardie Card. Now, in order to keep your Yardie card, you are going to have to answer usually one question about Jamaica or Jamaican culture. Now, today's question, very simple, bear in mind that we're in the Lenten season and it is Easter. Can you name any 5 ingredients that makes Jamaican Easter bun?
That's easy.
Go on.
Water,
Wow.
flour, sugar, raisins, and most of the time we use spices. So I'm gonna say they do add cinnamon sometimes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. So you know what, guys? We are going to give that to Dr. Neek. She's saving lives. She's not baking. She's not baking. She's definitely saving lives. So, I'm not going to hold it against her. Now, Dr. Neek is here today because we're going to have a discussion about COVID-19. But before we get to that discussion, just give us a quick couple of seconds and we'll be right back. Okay, now we're back. Now, if you know anything about Nuhlikkletwang, I don't know, like it's a podcast that came out of the pandemic. And that being said, a lot of the conversations that started on Nuhlikkletwang had to do with COVID-19 surviving the pandemic, but it's been a year. Now, with that being said, how are we doing, 1 year after COVID? I know we have vaccines, we've been wearing masks, we've been social distancing, we've had several lockdowns, not just here in North America, but also in the Caribbean. I mean, Dr. Neek is kind of in a lockdown right now. So instead of relying on me and Shads to have this particular conversation, we're going to include someone who's been on the front line, who's actually received the vaccine, and is using her platform to educate people. So, Dr. Neek, what is COVID-19 and what are some of the misperceptions that people have surrounding COVID-19?
That's an awesome question. So, as a lot of us may know, COVID 19 is an infectious disease that is caused by a new coronavirus. So coronavirus is not new, but it's a new strain of the coronavirus, specifically the SARS-CoV-2 virus. And a lot of us would have heard it started in Wuhan, China,
Mm-hmm.
last, well, not last year, my bad, in December 2019, right?
Been a
And
while.
It's been so long.
right, it's been a while, right? It has really plagued a lot of our homes, society. It has left a lot of us unemployed and basically under lots of financial strains. But I realize we've had a number of misconceptions with regards to
Mm-hmm.
the COVID-19 virus and the vaccines. Speaking specifically about the virus, I've been hearing that COVID-19 is not a virus, it's actually a bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're still hearing that. We're still having a lot of misconceptions with regards to the symptoms of COVID-19.
At this point,
And
really?
I'd
yes,
love
at
to
this
hear
point,
those.
yes, we still are having a lot of misconceptions. A lot of persons still do not believe when they get tested and they come back COVID positive that it's truly COVID-19.
Is
That
our
it's
planting.
Sorry.
yes, we're still getting those, unfortunately. And I'm hearing that the doctors are wrong on these diagnoses. Again, guys, hopefully we can clear up a lot of those misconceptions today, right?
I
Yes.
would love that. No, we live in the social media age, and as a result of that, a lot of the information that we get is from social media. That being said, we went to social media and posed a couple of questions as it pertains to COVID-19. Now, a lot of misperceptions, misconceptions came out of that particular question. For example, we asked people, what are some of the things you've heard about COVID-19? I've heard everything from it has to do with 5G, which is why in like countries in North America, they were so anti 5G. And in countries like Jamaica, I remember like watching the news and they were destroying cell towers that were supposed to be for 5G. In addition to that, people have said it's spread through the phone. They're saying it's a trick so that they can sell masks and hand sanitizers because let's be honest, hand sanitizer never in a sale. And
Gee, I
I've
wonder why.
I mean, I've heard so many things. It's in the direction of the NWO, and that is why we are currently in a lockdown because they're getting things ready. So, and in order to do stuff with like holograms and stuff like that, we have to be inside because we can't see the setup. No, I'm not a medical doctor and I'm not a scientist. I mean, go school, got a bachelor's of science, but I am no scientist. So I'm leaving that to you, Dr. Neek. But Shads, I know that you're very active on social media. Like, what are people saying?
I'm active, of course, but I actively try to stay away from the crazies and their crazy conspiracy theories. But I have been seeing similar cases like you have with the whole NWO. I've seen the fact that like people saying that it's been made in a lab, that it's changing your DNA, the 5G thing as well. Of course, it's the end of times. So taking the vaccine is the mark of the beast. Um,
All
for
them
those
things
who
there.
for those who are a part of the Judeo
Christian.
Christians and know about that stuff. And of course, it being a bioweapon and that it was imported from China by the US military. Um, yeah, if it's a bioweapon, we're like a year in. I'm pretty sure it would have been worse by now. I'm just saying.
So you know what? There's so many things. So Dr. Neek, when COVID-19 came out, I went out and I bought as many disinfectants, everything, right? I mean, about gloves, about masks. I learned how to fashion my own masks. In addition to that, I think people are saying that Lysol kills coronaviruses. I knew that didn't make any sense, and I couldn't get Lysol anyway, so I didn't get the Lysol. But When we speak about these conspiracy theories, and just everything about COVID-19, one of the things that I find is that there's also a lot of stigma attached to it. So we're learning more about the virus, we're learning more about the vaccines, but we still have some stigma surrounding COVID-19. Now, I can't speak for Canadians, but I think a lot of people who are a part of, let's say, platforms like TikTok, there's so much, and you go down those rabbit holes, and there's so much information, or misinformation rather, and people are either afraid of the vaccine, or they're stigmatizing people when it comes to COVID-19. Now, there are some things that the stigma has, to me, has been lifted a little bit. But COVID-19 remains seem to be the worst thing to ever happen to mankind. So, Dr. Neek, tell us a little bit around this stigma, and should people have any fears when it comes to COVID-19? Because from what I know, within like 14 days or so, the virus is no longer it's no longer transmittable from one person to the next if they have no symptoms. Um, why are we still moving like antsy if there's that much information?
That's an awesome point to note. Just yesterday, I was having a similar discussion. Unfortunately, we are still stigmatizing persons so much when it comes to the COVID-19 virus. So if persons have tested positive or was once symptomatic of COVID, it is it's like the black plague, nobody wants to interact with them, no one wants to be around them. I've had persons come to me and say, Doc, I had COVID and I'm afraid to tell anyone because I'm afraid that my business will go out. I will lose everything. And that's currently what is still being transmitted with regards to COVID-19. And I do believe a lot of it stems from so much misinformation that is on social media.
Right.
As you rightly said, if you go on TikTok, I recently joined TikTok, guys.
Big up
And
yourself.
yeah, and I had a few viral videos. And when I looked at the comments, especially about COVID-19, I was appalled. I was appalled that people are still spewing all of this negativity and all of these crazy comments, that there are people still saying that we're injecting COVID-19 into your body through the vaccines. There are people saying that I'm going to turn into a zombie. There.
I watched enough Walking Dead. I am prepped. I am ready.
I know how to use a shoddy if I have to.
And when it comes to persons who have had COVID-19, people are still afraid of them. It reminds me of what used to happen with HIV back when HIV was so new and no one knew exactly how it was transmitted,
Right.
and the symptoms and so forth. It's the same with COVID. I do understand people are afraid of what they don't know, and anything that's new, it does come with a lot of fear. But I believe that there have been so many different platforms trying to promote education on COVID-19.
Right.
And I think people should stop whenever they're looking, whether it's an Instagram, TikTok, Twitter rabbit hole that they've dived down, they should really stop and say, I need to find a source that can be validated. I need a reputable source. I need somewhere that I can check and say, does this make sense?
That's true.
I feel like that works for people who have some form of intelligence. So like, I mean, myself. I mean, myself. Okay, good and well what that means.
That makes sense.
I mean, like for myself, for you, like for all three of us, like we wouldn't be going down a rabbit hole of checking like the dark web or certain places for information that we know is going to be skewed, that we know these are the same people who would say that this person is a really bad person when in fact they aren't. So it's like the type of media and information that we're going for, tends to be different from the next person. Like there's a reason why they're anti-maskers and anti-lockdown people out there. They're looking too, but it's what they're looking for. They're
Right.
looking for the things that will match what they their views already. We're looking for the stuff that's like giving us hope to the actual solution. Like we want real information.
Dr. Neek, one of the things that we don't speak about a lot when it comes to COVID-19 has to do with long COVID. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, long COVID usually means that once you caught COVID-19, you continue to have symptoms even though you're no longer infectious. Would you be able to shed some light on that? And maybe like give a medical definition of what long COVID is?
All right. So first and foremost, we know that once you have contracted COVID-19, you go into quarantine, well, isolation really, and you'd be isolated for the 14 days.
Right.
The standard procedures, you would be in isolation, especially in Jamaica, and after 14 days, you'll be contacted by the Ministry of Health to find out if you are symptom free, right? If it is that you are continuing to have symptoms, then they would have another 3 days to check if your symptoms would have resolved. Routinely, some persons might have prolonged symptoms and then would offer to do a repeat COVID swab. So that's a nasopharyngeal swab. And they will send that off to see if you are still COVID positive or not. So with regards to having prolonged symptoms, my last reading from the CDC noted that they were still doing studies on why some persons might have had prolonged symptoms of COVID-19. And prolonged symptoms that they were checking out: fatigue, shortness of breath, coughing, and some chest tightening or chest pain. And they realized that a majority of the persons would have had severe infection of COVID-19 or possibly had hospitalization. So those are the main points that they saw. But the truth is, there were still persons with no underlying chronic illness and who were pretty young that had prolonged symptoms of COVID-19 post the 14 days. So in essence, the real best solution is to ensure that you don't get COVID-19, wear your mask, wash your hands, sanitize, maintain the social distance, because at the end of the day, you nor I knows how our body would respond if we contract COVID-19 at the end of the day. Yeah.
No, I love that, Dr. Neek. Thank you so much for shedding light on that. No, there are some people who are like, I'm gonna drink my tea. I mean, we're Jamaicans and we live and die by tea.
Yes.
I drink all my ginger tea, I do my moringa, I boil my water, I drink my lemon juice, I do my lemon and ginger every morning. I'm exercising, I'm living right, I'm loving life.
Are you exercising though?
This is not your fight. Choose your battles. This is not your fight. Dr. Neek, is there anything that the average person can do besides wearing a mask to maybe, I guess, get the immune system up and running, a little bit better than what it was prior to, I guess, November of 2019? Have you noticed anything where, okay, this person had a regime or a routine of, drinking hot water with lemon juice? No?
No.
What do you mean no? But my granny said tea work.
Right. I mean, Jamaicans live by their ginger tea. It's cool. I love ginger tea.
Boss gas.
I still don't hear about Cerise yet.
Okay, I'm not a fan of bush tea, but okay.
Tell her that we're from Kingston and we don't do it. We just don't do it.
We don't do it. But really though, supplementation, vitamins, all of those, they don't really prevent you from getting COVID-19. That's the truth. Overall, what my recollection is from WHO and CDC is that they saw where persons who were obese of COVID-19. So definitely that's something to address, ensuring that we promote a healthy lifestyle overall, weight loss, eating right. Doesn't necessarily have to be a diet, but yes.
Many of you call the people who make COVID, because I just recognize that trend. Like,
Did you just
Why?
say made
No. So
COVID?
is skinny people make it? I just asking for a friend. Did skinny people make COVID? I'm asking for a friend.
Oh my god. Oh my god. You see, now that's gonna be a myth.
Right?
That
Like
you
now,
just
now he's
you
out
just
here
created a myth
spreading.
right there.
You're out here spreading COVID lies now. That like, don't let people come after the skinny people. God.
Well, what? I am going to leave it alone. Guys, skinny people did not invent COVID-19.
Thank you.
But you don't feel like them neither.
It was made by a Scorpio.
Wow. Got there's no such thing. We're not getting into that. No, guys, this was fun. Debunking a couple of the myths. But we're going to get into, something a little bit more serious because I feel like as it pertains to COVID-19, this is the meat of the matter. So we'll be right back.
Proverb. Here's today's proverb.
Okay, so we're back. And Dr. Neek, one of the things that I think I spoke to you about before having this conversation with Shads and the rest of our fans has to do with the vaccine. Now, like we've had so many candidates for the vaccine, and the ones that we have now that are readily available, they're fine, they're doing great. But they're friend, you not just have to choose your battles, man. What is wrong with you?
Someone has to be the devil's advocate.
I know, and because I'm being nice today, I think you're choosing to do it. But Dr. Neek, there are different vaccines out here, and you've gotten the vaccine, the AstraZeneca, to be exact. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yes.
There's Moderna, there's Pfizer, and there is Johnson and Johnson.
It's called Janssen.
By
Johnson and Johnson. Get it right or don't say it at all.
Well, bearing in mind that I haven't been vaccinated and Dr. Neek has, Dr. Neek, tell us about that process and tell us what was that like? Like, what was it like, sign up for the vaccine in a country like Jamaica? And why is it that Jamaica went with the AstraZeneca while countries like Canada and the US went with Moderna and Pfizer?
Okay, so that's a compounded question, and I'm going to try and dissect it bit by bit. First, Jamaica would have received the AstraZeneca vaccine under the COVAX facility. So they're the ones that help like third world countries, those in CARICOM and so forth, to get their vaccines. So the vaccine that they were aiding was the AstraZeneca, the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, right?
Right,
and
right.
That's what, so that's the one that was used, COVAX facility assisted to obtain. With regards to how the vaccination process was, in Jamaica, we would have, I'm a medical doctor, so it's more of a, do you want the vaccine? Then we would sign up an online.
So there is an option to say yes or no.
It is an option, right? It is an option for everyone. I have friends who are doctors who did not take the vaccine, actually. Yes, because they're not as informed, and they do feel as if they haven't gotten to the place where they can make an informed decision, which is fine.
Right.
If that is your reason, then continue to stay informed and educate yourself and see how best that can push you forward to making the decision.
Right.
Because the ultimate goal is to protect yourself. But with regards to going through the vaccination process, you would have, indicated that you wanted to get the vaccine first. 2, they would have scheduled a time and a date, and whichever facility it was, then you would have showed up at that particular time. So when you show up, there would have been a group sensitization where they'll tell you about the vaccine, which vaccine you're getting, and what the procedure would be. Then there would be a mini interview where a public health nurse or someone of that caliber would briefly interview you to find out if you have any chronic medical illnesses, if you've ever had any allergic reactions to any vaccination, so forth, and document accordingly. Then you'd move over to getting the actual vaccine. which a public health nurse would have vaccinated you.
Right.
After that procedure, then you will move over to what we call the observation period, where there would be a medical doctor or a registered nurse or a family nurse practitioner that would be there observing everyone depending on their comorbidity. It would range from 15 to 30 minutes of observation to ensure that no one has any severe allergic reactions to the vaccine. Any reactions that they do have would have been documented. And just to note, some of the common side effects of most vaccines, which we would have been getting from childhood, right? Some pain, swelling to the injection site, and a few persons would have reported a low-grade fever, maybe chills, rigors, and muscular joint pains. With regards to the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, some persons also reported from the study that they felt a mild headache and some fatigue, but all of the symptoms typically resolve within 24 to 48 hours, right?
I heard that
And
one
they
too.
would have given you back your card because you get a little vaccine card to say that you got vaccinated at this time, this date, and which sample or vial it was from, and another date for your second dose of the vaccine, since the Oxford AstraZeneca is a 2-dose vaccine. Right?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Now, I love that you broke that down for us, because one of the things that I didn't know was that there was an observation period which allowed doctors or medical personnel to actually supervise you prior to you leaving the facility. So that's actually pretty good. Now, I don't want to be a hypocrite, because I have friends and family members in the medical profession, and I've watched the documentaries, I've read the white papers, but I feel like, when I was young in Jamaica, and them used to joke me up with like the needles, like I never really had a say. And then, when I became an adult and I came here, which is foreign, or Canada, I went out and I went to my doctor, and they did a test, and they're like, these are the things that we find that you are not, I guess, immune to, and they're vaccines for. Would you like to take the vaccines? And I said yes. I mean, no questions asked. I went in, got my inoculations, and that was a wrap. As you mentioned, the typical, um, I guess, symptoms or after effect of a vaccine, which was like redness or soreness at the site of the injection. That was about it. But right now, like, I feel like we're living in, the Egyptians say, serious times. And like, people trust teachers, doctors, preachers. And right now, I'm not sure if we can trust anybody when it comes to a vaccine, because again, I'm an intelligent youngster, but, or an old person, however you want to put it. And I've gone down the TikTok rabbit hole, and there are things that make sense, there are things that do not make sense. My question to you is, and I want to ask Shads specifically, where to the vaccine?
I have considered it. I have been doing my research. Am I going to be rushing front in line when they eventually get to our age group? No. I will wait until maybe next year. I'll see. I mean, I am barely around people, if at all. I
Mm-hmm.
wear my mask, as you would still have to even when you get the vaccine. I have no need to travel anytime soon. I know that's like the sensible thing to get if you are planning on if you plan on traveling, if you plan on being in any communal spaces. I'm good. I will keep waiting until there's more research coming in, more people have taken it. Again, by the time they get to our age group, I feel like it's going to be June or July by then.
Mm-hmm.
So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, in the meantime, like, so much can happen, but I'm not going to take it. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I have my vaccines. I've taken vaccines.
My friend, I feel like you pick up that card just because we're having this discussion today, and you wanted to show people that you're
Yes, because
vaccinated.
just so if anyone's listening, they're not like, oh, she's probably an anti-vaxxer. No, I take my vaccines. I've had vaccines like we all have when we're a kid, we had no say. I've taken vaccines that I voluntarily took. I am just waiting a bit till I feel more comfortable. And there are plenty more. There are like still 8 other vaccines in Canada that are under review. We have 4 that are available.
Mm-hmm.
So I am there. I am waiting. I'm doing my research and I'm waiting. I'm not rushing to go get one.
And you know what? I think I know why you're a little bit hesitant to take the vaccine. So I'm going to throw this over to Dr. Neek. Now, Dr. Neek, we went to the same high school in a sense. People argue that it's a different school, but it's the same name. It was founded by the same person. It's the same school. And we know that, when we were going to school, I know for Wilmer's boys that 60 was the pass mark. And if you got 60, unless it was a subject that you were struggling in, you were happy. But for anything else that you're supposed to be excelling in, especially if you intended on going into that field after high school, you wanted an 80, you wanted a 90. That brings us to efficacy, because that word wasn't very popular until COVID-19. Let's talk efficacy. Like, why would I take a vaccine with 69% efficacy in comparison to one that's like 96?
All right. So when we speak about efficacy of a vaccine or a drug, we're talking about the vaccine's ability to reduce the disease in the vaccinated group, right?
Right.
So when you say AstraZeneca, the most recent document that they released, I think it might have been like a few days ago.
Right.
They actually said that the vaccine's efficacy was 76%. Yeah, so 76% against symptomatic
It's a pass mark.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, man, hold on. So 76% efficacy against symptomatic COVID-19 and 100% efficacy against serious or severe COVID-19 disease and hospitalization, right? So this is its ability to protect you against COVID-19. So what you need to realize is some protection is better than no protection whatsoever, right? Of course, think about it.
My protection is me staying in my house.
What do you think? What do you think? Like, what do you think? The doctor said that some protection is better than no protection.
No, wait, oh my lord. I probably that's where you were going.
Do not twist her words.
Yes,
what is
doctor,
wrong
come,
with
make
you?
it make sense, doctor. Come, talk about
when
again.
it comes to the vaccine, you're terrible,
Wait,
when
oh
it
my
comes
lord.
to the vaccine, you're
Yeah,
terrible.
come
You're
on.
terrible.
Come, doctor. No, doctor, come
You're
again. Come again.
terrible.
Me, you know what? I understood what you said.
Only you would be the one to draw that out and spin it.
Right?
That's why I'm a hot said Jamaica. We're here
Wow.
for it.
Wow.
So, doctor, you said that the protection is good regardless. The efficacy isn't something to necessarily be concerned about. Right. So I know, like earlier, Shads was saying that, here in Canada, they're saying do not cherry pick your vaccine. And, when you live in the Great North, because I can't say the land of the free or the home of the brave.
Because we're on native land. Yes.
We're not doing those today. We're not going to. I know I cannot pronounce the names for a lot of the ethnic groups or tribes. So I'm not going to get into it. But much respect to my First Nations and Native brothers and sisters. I really hope you guys are surviving this horrible pandemic. But back to efficacy. You're saying that we're not supposed to cherry pick vaccines here because we have an option, we have a variety of vaccines to choose from, but in Jamaica there's only one vaccine currently, so you guys don't get to currently. Right.
Is there an ETA is there a known ETA of any others, or is it still just AstraZeneca?
Right. So currently the vaccine available is the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. I do believe that the Ministry of Health and Wellness are still trying to um, gather other vaccines if possible.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm not sure if you know, recently I heard that there was lack of supply and an increased demand, right? So if
Right.
you don't have enough supply, then smaller countries would not be able to get it as
Yeah.
soon as they would like. And that was the whole importance of this COVAX facility in the first place, to help
Right.
to ascertain the vaccinations for the smaller countries, the third world countries, therefore. Um, I do think that they are in dialogue with the other pharmaceutical companies and drug companies to try and get other vaccines.
Okay.
But as for what we have currently, again, it's best to offer some protection and
Then
immunity now, because we don't know when we're going to contract COVID-19, especially for the frontline workers. You know, they
yeah.
wear
Right.
exposed
Right.
every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we go back to that statement that having some protection against COVID-19 is better than none. And a drug being 76% efficacious is awesome. We have
Yeah.
measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine that it was, I think it was 97% protection against measles and maybe 70 something against mumps.
That's what I mean. I
So
play
we
with dog,
actually
you
have
know.
no vaccine that has 100%
No.
efficacy.
There's
No,
also there's also the case. My question is, like, a lot of people think that taking the vaccine is a cure.
I mean, yeah, we can't stop where it is.
So a lot of
Yeah,
people, yeah, a lot of people think, yeah, I'm taking a vaccine. I don't need to wear a mask. I don't need to social distance. I could be around a bunch of people. I am cured, and I will never be
I
able
am
to catch
delivered.
I
Delivered.
and no COVID here.
right. So it all boils back to what we previously said. You know, the vaccine is protecting against having severe COVID infections, getting really sick, possibly needing hospitalization, um, ventilator, ICU support, or even dying.
Right.
And that's the main aim of vaccinating the population. With regards to getting vaccinated and stop wearing the mask, CDC recently released a document saying that yes, you will still need to wear the mask and follow the COVID-19 protocol. And this is because, one, most of the vaccines currently, 2 doses, and the maximum efficacy is really after the second dose. And two, it takes around 14 days, so 2 weeks before you would have built up enough antibodies and created enough immunity, right?
Right.
Yes.
Right. And to be totally honest with you, you know, like today I went driving and I saw people who were, you know, exercising without masks. And it didn't occur to me that they could have been vaccinated because I feel like even though there's so much information about COVID-19 and you know there's so much about the vaccines, I feel like people who got their jabs, they've probably just been living life, you know, having, you know, like in Canada there was a thing called COVID parties. I'm not sure if they happened in countries like Jamaica, but there were people who went to parties during COVID-19 specifically to try to get COVID.
It's like with the chicken pox, like parents used to like have chicken pox parties so they could pass it so your child could naturally build up the immunity to it.
That
And
sounds toxic and very
I wouldn't
unthrilling.
play that game with something that is out here doing the absolute most, because I never heard of anyone dying from chicken pox. I'm sure there's like a percentage who
Right.
have,
But
but
there's
I
so many
definitely been
other
hearing people dying from COVID-19. So who's playing that game?
right, right. And there's so many other complications of chickenpox. Why would you do that? I got chickenpox when I was younger, and it was a horrible experience. But I mean, vaccination helps us to build immunity against these viruses and diseases without
Right.
having to actually get the virus or disease,
Mm-hmm.
which is a plus. I believe what those persons are trying to do is trying to build their immunity as quickly as possible by contracting the actual disease, which I would not recommend anyone to do.
No,
I
no.
I love that. No, no, Doc, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, branded hoodie and branded mask because, boy, are things. It's still a pandemic, but, boy, still things. My question is, even though we're into this COVID fashion, we're into, making light of what's happening or even trying to quarantine, isolate, social distance, and follow protocol. A lot of us are a little bit frustrated, we're tired, and we would like to know, like, how long do you think before we get to some semblance of normalcy?
That's a very difficult question to answer.
What do you
I won't
mean?
lie.
You're the doctor?
But she's
That would
also not a
be
psychic.
exactly.
No, no, like, you're out here saving lives,
I am not predicting the future though.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, but you know, I think what normalcy would be is when the masses of the population has been vaccinated. And unfortunately, with regards to how much misinformation that is being spread, I am not very confident that it would be anytime soon because persons are still going down those rabbit holes.
Yes, get off
And
of TikTok.
yeah, too much TikTok rabbit holes, too much Twitter rabbit hole, and there are people who are the anti-vaxxers. They are really pushing a lot of these misconceptions. And unfortunately, if we could get more persons to stay informed through validated sources, the recommended sources, WHO, CDC, PAHO, Ministry of Health and Wellness, I think that would help us to really go back to this sense of normalcy a lot faster. But
Mhm.
until we get to that point where more persons are well educated on the subject of COVID-19 and the vaccines, I think we're going to just have a little bit of a delay on that part.
Thank you, doctor. I like saying that because people know how far we are come from. We not them not know how far. So I like to say Doctor Brown, guys. So forgive me, but I like saying Doctor Brown. I like to say doctor. So we spoke about normalcy, and are going to get to Shadia in a bit, but I want to go back to the doctor. Um, we speak about normalcy and what normalcy looks like, and we speak about the Twitter rabbit holes, and we speak about all these other things. But what would you like, as a doctor in a developing nation who has a platform, what would you like people to know about the COVID-19 vaccine?
Right. So some common myths that I would like to debunk just
Mm-hmm.
quickly. There's no proof that COVID-19 causes infertility. No. Right? Again, the rabbit holes will tell you otherwise. Please just check WHO or CDC. They have been doing
Girl,
studies.
people don't have time for that.
Make time.
Please, yeah, make time. Stop the spread of misinformation. Please. It's very simple. The COVID-19 vaccine does not turn you into a zombie. 3, it's not injecting the virus, the actual virus. It's using the information to make what is called the spike protein. It's just like a little protein on the outside of the COVID-19 virus, and that helps us to build immunity. And there have been no deaths reported from the vaccination. Like, guys, again, just do the research, spend 15 minutes and read reputable sources, and you'll see that a lot of these myths are fictitious, to say the least, right?
Okay. I mean, big you up, doctor, and I really respect someone who is doing the work, not just underground, but you're also trying to keep abreast of what is happening online with PAHO, which I think is a Jamaican organization, and then there is the World Health Organization,
Organization.
right? And I think here in Canada, it's Health Canada. No, I love that. No, let me get to Shads. Now, Shads, she had a lot to say today, or not a lot to say, but she say our things. COVID is not really her thing.
It is
Um,
not, no.
Shads, what would you like people to know from the conversation that we've had today? What would you like people to know about COVID-19?
It's real. It is not made up. It is not something that the government is trying to create to cause some new world order. I can't speak for everyone's country. I can speak for the country I'm in. I respect the politicians and the efforts that they're putting in with helping us survive this
Mm-hmm.
thing as best as we can. Um, like Dr. Monique said, do your research. We have our sources here. I know CDC is more towards the US, and the US and Canada, we do have differences when it comes to our health stuff. It
Right.
tends to be a little bit more strict here. So we do have sources like CAMH, Health Canada, like you mentioned. Just simply go onto those sites and type it in. It doesn't take long to look at that. They've literally broken down the information so that anyone could simply read it. So it's not long jargons, it's not long paragraphs. They tell you even the simple ingredients that are in the vaccines that are available right now,
Right.
just so people who may already know if they're allergic to those ingredients to know which vaccine they shouldn't be taking, because it will risk have an allergic reaction. And even if you do get the vaccine and you get an allergic reaction, go to your family doctor if you have one. If not, go to a walk-in clinic. We're fortunate where we can just go and not have to pay a penny for these things.
If you
Uh,
have papers, please.
if
If
you
you have
have,
papers,
if you have a
please
health
say
card,
that.
yes. And if you do have that allergic reaction, like they'll set you up with an allergist so you know if it's something that you should, and then you can ask to take a different vaccine. So it's not like you're out of luck if, oh my gosh, I was allergic to that one, I can't take anything. It's not impossible to receive. And again, there's still like 8 more that we're waiting for. I mean, I'm waiting for one in particular that's being made in Quebec that's plant-based. So, I mean, that's waiting approval. So once that's done, that will go into my arm. That's that's me.
I
But
love
again, we
that.
are fortunate where we live in a country that we have all these options. I know that there are other countries who don't have that luxury. So that's another thing that people who live in Canada especially need to understand and be appreciative of, the fact that we're in the middle of a global pandemic, and there are some countries who will recover better than others when it's all said and done in more than one way.
Right, right. I love that. So guys, it's been a heavy conversation and I know it's a lot to digest. And it is season 3 of Nuhlikkletwang, and one of the things that we want to do for our listeners and our viewers is to end every Nuhlikkletwang on a positive note. So that being said, Dr. Neek, we're going to play a very quick game. It's meant to be fun, but it can be very technical as well. And we just need you to tell us 5 things you would keep from the pandemic. So anything that you liked, that worked, 5 things you'd like to keep.
Okay, I think I have 3 things
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to keep because I don't get to work from home, so I can't include that one. So all right. So 3 things I will keep from this COVID-19 pandemic.
Right.
Hand hygiene, the
Okay.
hand washing, the use of sanitizer. I love it. I mean, I've never seen so many persons walking with that little pouch of sanitizer and they're going in. I mean, it's beautiful. I love it. Please, let's take that. All
Where
right, let's
does Anna
continue with
go?
that.
How sad that, like,
Yeah.
how
No,
sad.
I've never seen it. I'm walking in Jamaica and someone touches a door, they sanitize their hand before they eat. Oh my Lord. It's beautiful. I love it. Please keep that one.
I agree.
2, I need this social distancing to be like continued. In Jamaica, we are very tight knit, everybody's really close. I go into a store, I'm here, somebody else is here or here. So maintain the social distance. I like that. I like having a little bit of my personal space. Yeah. And I would say 3, I appreciate that a lot of persons are more health conscious. They are more aware. They are actually trying to actively seek knowledge. It's just that they're not finding it from the correct sources. So we'll just tweak that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
and find reputable sources, but continue to be like health conscious. Continue to try and be educated about your health awareness. I am absolutely in love with the fact that so many persons are interested. So those are my three takeaways from the pandemic.
I love that, Dr. Neek. Thank you so much for sharing that with us and actually being here on the show today. Because, guys, it's been a journey, and we'll probably tell you about that, in some bloopers some other time. But Shads, I know you don't really like people like that, and you try to keep to yourself. What are 5 things that you would keep from the pandemic?
Number one is definitely that 2 meter 6 feet rule in stores, because I never liked the fact that people were right beside me when I'm trying to put my pin in, when I'm trying to pay. Like, do I know you? Are you paying this bill? Are you paying for me?
Friend,
Like,
don't you
why are
use
you so
Apple Pay
close?
though? Don't you use
Why are you so?
Apple Pay though?
It doesn't matter. Like, I don't want you near me. Like, I don't like personal space. A lot of people here don't respect personal space. So that is number one for me, that 2 meter rule. Yeah, that needs to stay 100%. Um, the mask thing, I'm totally okay with wearing a mask in public spaces, because again, I don't want to be breathing people's like toxic air, because when this is all said and done, there's still going to be viruses out there. There's still going to be another thing. So I mean, the flu is still a thing. So the fact that like the flu has been down because of all these precautions, I mean, I'm totally for it. Like, if I have to go out in public, and also people with bad breath, it will save them a lot of I mean, somebody had to say it,
You
like,
just
come on.
woke up and chose violence. So
I mean, somebody had
continue.
to say it.
You woke up and chose
The
violence.
mask is a blessing in disguise for people who have halitosis and people who just like, yeah,
But wait, friend, them not have to smell the moon breath then.
then they'll know to use to, you know what? Yeah, they'll know to deal with it accordingly. You smell it, nobody else has to smell it. Somebody to say it. I know somebody else out there. I am not the only one who thought that. Please, like, don't make it seem as if it's just me. Anyway, my other one, my key piece is definitely the work from home. We work remotely. A lot of jobs used to tell you, oh no, that's not possible. You can't work from home. You have to come into the office. And now all of a sudden, the jobs that weren't work from home are suddenly work from home capable. So that would be nice to keep and give people that option if they do want to work from home, or if they want to go into the office, or a mix of both, for people who feel like socializing with their coworkers and pretend that they're friends with them. I said what I said and I meant it. Um, but yeah, I think those are the ones that I have, because those are like the three main ones. I can't really think of anything else, because again, like, I don't really, I'm not around people like that. And the people who I'm around are people who I actually care about and I love. And if I'm around strangers, I personal space.
And that's fair. That's fair.
What about
I
you?
Oh, I was going to say, I was totally going to ignore the fact that you did not ask me what I would keep from the pandemic. But thank
I
you, thank
mean,
you.
sometimes I have to pretend like I care about you.
That's okay.
This is one
That's
of those
okay. The
days.
people have listened to enough episodes to know you don't like me. Um,
That's what happens when we've been in each other's lives for way too long. I am not Dr. Monique. I don't like you
um,
that much.
wow. You know what?
A joke?
Yeah. One of the
Give me
things
your 5.
my 5 is I don't get to see Shads. I'm not even lying. I'm not ask Christ. I don't get to see her. She live too far anyways, and I'm trying to social
Who's
distance.
trying to go where you live anyway?
Again, you woke up and you chose violence. But I love the social distancing. I love a curbside pickup. That is a vibe. I do not like to go into stores. If you can show me your entire inventory online and I could just pick up what I want, I am for that. I do not need to be in a store. I
I just
hate
lazy,
shopping.
I
I don't like
just
shopping. I'm not
lazy,
going to lie to you. I don't like shopping. If it's not Amazon, I don't really like to be a part of it. I love working from home because I get to trick out my little home office with like screens and lights and all that. And
In
and
my home office.
I'm definitely here for that. I love that now people are a little bit more cognizant of like their groups, right? Like bubbles. I love that because I think before there are people who just used to hang out with anybody.
Those are
Like,
the extroverts, not the
like
introverts like us.
the people who don't wash them hands and stuff like that. Like, where is that going? Like, why was that ever a thing? And I've had a lot of uncomfortable instances where people have actually been in areas that they were supposed to wash their hands and they did not. So I am grateful for, as Dr. Monique said, the hand hygiene which comes with COVID-19. I think that's like 4. I can't get into anything else
I feel
because
like hygiene overall, like a lot of people for some
no, people still
reason,
not beard.
I
People,
feel
enough people who still not beard.
I feel
No,
like a lot of people were just like, y'all really weren't doing that. But maybe just because I'm raised Jamaican, like I don't know.
I mean, we were washing hands like when I moved here and I saw a lot of sanitization stations. I'm like, yo, why don't y'all just wash your hands? Like, I don't get it. Like, why? Like, where were they everywhere?
Like people thought I was weird that I told them, I'm like, I was always using a glove to pump gas. And people are like, I didn't think about that. Like y'all were touching that like just bare hand, that dirty pump that like thousands of people are touching.
True. I mean, I've started using gloves. I used to
Good.
just wash my hands and use sanitizer, but I've started to use gloves. But guys, it's been real. It's been a great conversation. And if you knew the work that went into getting the good doctor here, who is trying to save lives in Jamaica, or
Yes.
actually saving lives rather, and to be able to have this conversation for you guys, it was a task, and I'm grateful that she was able to have this particular conversation with us today. And
It
we will.
shows that like COVID is a real thing and people are out here sacrificing their time to help fight this virus. It's not it's not a joke. So yeah, like we really appreciate Dr. Monique taking that time out of saving lives and vaccinating people to come chat with us and inform the masses and debunk and inform. Because if they're not going to the sources, at least they could rely on the Nuhlikkletwang.
Thank you, Dr. Neek. No, Dr. Neek, before we go, right? Again, a heartfelt thank you, big up yourself. But where can we find you? I know you said you're on socials.
Right.
But where can we find you?
Right. So my social media handlings, it is Dr. Nique, Nique, and that is on Facebook, Instagram, yes, TikTok, and I recently started a YouTube channel. So guys, ensure that you subscribe and hit the bell notification.
The link
Yes.
will be in the description below.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna put it in the description? Really?
Yeah, of course. The link will be in the
Why
description
not?
below. Of
Okay.
course. Of course.
I really appreciate that. And guys, I just want to say thank you for having me. And I really enjoyed this discussion. I hope
It,
it,
We really enjoyed having you.
we
And
we love
again,
to
we
have you.
appreciate it.
And guys, we've gotten to the end, and it was again fun. It was real, it was heavy, but we learned a lot, and I think we gained a lot from this experience. Again, feel free to like, subscribe, share with a friend, an anti-masker, a masker, everybody, right? This episode is real, and we want to share the knowledge. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow us on all socials. It's Nuhlikkletwang. I know it's a mouthful, but just follow us, Nuhlikkletwang. And as usual, until next time, walk good.